Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. They're the unsung heroes of the harvest season, the farm equipment mechanic. Tomato jam, it's delicious. And it's that time of year to be extra watchful for farm equipment on the road.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Eastview Farm in Hanover County. It's harvest season, and that means every day is crucial for crop production. Burke Moeller reports a good mechanic is an essential partner for farmers.
Many of us have changed a flat tire at some point or another, but when the tire weighs over 400 pounds, it's time to call in the professionals, like Freddie Cox. This tractor suffered a tire puncture in a cornfield.
We are like a road service for the farmer. We go wherever they have trouble on their tractor and bring them new tires or repair their tires. And we do combines, and we also do a lot of forestry tires, a lot of skidders that drag logs out in the field.
Cox's company is a Farm Bureau service agent and a Firestone associate dealer in Southwest Virginia. He says he first became interested in working on farm equipment at an early age through his local FFA instructor.
I was 16 years old. He said, "How would you like to be a tire man?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." Come home and talk to my dad, and been doing it ever since about 95, 6, something like that. And went to college, and I guess that was my calling, to be a tire guy.
Summer is his busiest time of the year, when farmers are working on their fields hard in anticipation of the coming harvest.
From Memorial Day till the middle of July, we're very, very busy. That's peak, and then it picks up again really in the middle of August and through about October.
Cox says December is a busy time too for tax purposes, as farmers try to get repairs scheduled before the end of the calendar year. Mechanics like Cox are also in high demand just before and during harvest season, when a flat tire can lead to a devastating delay for crop farmers. Sometime a farmer during harvest season is so busy with other work, they'll hire a mechanic to do the work even though they could do it themselves.
The way I normally charge folks is I try to make a route, and if you're lucky enough and I'm in area, it's way cheaper rate. And I have an emergency rate that if you need me real quick, it's more expensive and I come. But we try not to work on Sundays, but if your harvest has been wet, you're down, we try to come out and get you going when you need it.
Tires are not the only thing that can go wrong on farm equipment. Ronnie Sharp is working on the air conditioning for the cab in this tractor for Moriah Farm in Fauquier County. He starts by checking the monitor inside the cab for air pressure readings.
My low side pressure is running about 20 pounds, and my high side is starting to creep up. We're getting up about 150 now. I'd like to see it run about 200.
Sharp grew up on a farm in Louisa County and caught the mechanical bug at an early age.
I wanted to be able to bring something back to the farm myself, and so I went to work for the dealership. They sent me to a 2-year John Deere Ag Tech program in North Carolina, and I worked for the dealership for 15 years. Took a break and decided to start my own business because I was doing a little side work on the side, and it grew and got to where I had to make a decision whether I was going to keep regular employment or start to do something on my own.
Sharp has been working on farm equipment for over 20 years, and he says he'll help out with anything from a lawnmower to a combine. Not all jobs require working with power tools and large mechanical equipment. In fact, some jobs are closer to what a computer technician would do.
All right, so we are going to download new software to the machine from Deere and install all the new software that it requires and that it needs. So it reports data back to the cloud and all that, and then the farmer can go pull it up on his computer and look at everything and it's from his office.
A good farm mechanic is invaluable to a farmer who needs an urgent repair. While many technicians work for an equipment dealer, mechanics like Sharp and Cox are both entrepreneurs, just like many of the farmers they serve. They're truly partners in the harvest and in Virginia agriculture. In Fauquier County, Virginia, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
Modern agricultural machinery is amazing. Planters can be wider than 2 lanes on a highway, and combines can cost almost $500,000. Some new tractors can drive themselves thanks to satellite connections. For most of mankind's history, farming was exclusively manual labor, and a farmer planted crops 1 row at a time. Improvements in farm techniques were one of the highlights of the Industrial Revolution. The McCormick Reaper was invented in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley in 1834. The first steam engine used in farming was invented even earlier, in 1798.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about some tips that deal with late season maintenance. Stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Drought and other challenges can damage your summer garden. Mark Viette shows us how to freshen things up in the garden.
A few things affect the appearance of our plants. It could just be a natural occurrence when they're finishing blooming and their appearance becomes a little ratty looking. Maybe the foliage turns brown. But the other thing that can happen, and it happens invariably throughout the season, is we enter into drought periods. This is a ground cover called chameleon plant or houtunia, and if you look carefully, you're going to see that after a 6-week or 4-week drought, this plant is starting to wilt. In fact, it's even starting to die back. You have a couple choices: irrigate or shear plants back. And as I looked in parts of the garden, you might see cracks in the garden. You might even see parts of your lawn turning brown. This is a ground cover perennial. Some people consider it a little invasive, and it's known as gooseneck loosestrife. And it would be blooming a lot better if it wasn't for the drought. And you can see where parts of the plant are now withering to the ground. So it's a sign that you do need to irrigate in your garden. Let me show you some hosta. Throughout the season, especially later in the season, hosta do have some problems that occasionally occur, and it is made worse by drought, but you don't have to have drought. But they are subject to sunburn, leaf burn, and this is really the foliage. This is the same plant. This is the foliage that you really want to enjoy and have in your garden. So here is a great example of a very unattractive hosta. It has finished blooming. You know, some people go in and just snip out the stems. But what I'm going to do is rejuvenate this plant. Keep in mind, if you do it as late as September, you may not get new growth like you will on daylilies. But I do want to neaten this up. So I'm just going to come in here with the shears. And I'm going to continue. You can see the new foliage is going to come right out, and it's going to be beautiful. When I looked at these dailies, I said, wow, you know, is this a disease? Is this a rust? And after looking at them in other people's gardens and, you know, driving along the highway, I figured out it was drought. You know, some people will come in with a little hand shears and come in and clip some of the bad foliage. They'll pull off the bad foliage like I did here, or they'll come in and they just remove the old stems. I mean, if you have maybe 15 or 20 dailies and you have the time, that's a great way to rejuvenate these plants. Now, I prefer to cut back things like dailies and hosta pretty hard. My dad differs. I mean, not everybody thinks alike. He likes to cut back dailies 6 to 7 inches. I like to cut them back harder. I find that they grow back and they respond better. So you just take a hedge trimmers. I made sure I sharpened this, and I'm just going to come in like this. There's already new foliage that's coming out already, because dailies send out a second flush of growth after they finish blooming. So it's just that easy. So you just go in the garden and prune them back. And then what I do is by hand, you just go in, pick up the foliage, and throw it away. And within probably a week or two, you're going to have beautiful new growth. And if you have any of the ever-blooming dailies, there's not many, but one of them a lot of us know is Stella d'Oro. By doing this after they finish blooming, you may get a second flush of flowers and maybe even a third flush of flowers every time you prune them back. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up, tomato jam. We hope you'll stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Tomato jam. Yep, and it's delicious. Virginia tomatoes are still turning red, and Chef Tammy Brawley has a recipe to showcase that special late season goodness in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and today I'm going to show you how to use some of those delicious summer tomatoes. And believe it or not, in September, there are still some great tomatoes coming out there at the very beginning. We've got one such tomato here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I want to core it. I'm going to have a little knife here, and you want to run it in right around the core. A great little paring knife is perfect for this. So now I've got a nice core that's come out of it. Now the next thing I'm going to do, a lot of people don't do this, but I do. Tomato peels don't break down very easily when they cook. I like to peel my tomatoes. I have a serrated knife here, or a serrated peeler I should say, and I'm just going to run it around the tomato just like you would an apple. You might still have little bits and pieces through there. Don't worry about that so much, but if you can get most of that peel off, it certainly does help with the cooking process, and you're not stuck with the tomato peel not breaking down when you bite it. What we're making today is a tomato jam. I'm so excited about this. We're going to mix some corn syrup and some honey and some rice vinegar. And I do have to give some kudos. This recipe is actually from my friend Ed. So this is Ed's tomato jam. So I'm hoping he sees this. So we get our peel out of the way, and we just want to do kind of a rough chop on that. So I'm just going to start slicing it down. Does not have to be perfectly diced. You are going to be cooking it down, and the syrup is going to help break all that down. So we're just going to get through here. Next couple of slices. You're looking for about a cup of tomato chunks. I'm not going to worry about measuring it, but you want about a cup or so. All right, I'm not going to use the very end piece because it's got a bit of core there in the middle. And I've got about a cup here, so this is more than enough. So we're going to put this in our sauce pot. I'm going to go ahead and turn the burner on. And to this, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. We're going to add a tablespoon of corn syrup. I can hear it starting to sizzle, so I know I need to turn my burner down just a little bit. And we want a tablespoon of honey. And then we want about a half a cup or so of rice wine vinegar. And then the last ingredient I'm going to add is a 1/4 teaspoon of coriander. It's a great spice. And what's going to happen is we're going to start this on to a boil and we're going to let it simmer for about an hour. All right, so the tomato jam takes about an hour or so, so I've got a nice finished product here for you. This is absolutely delicious. It's sweet, but you can really taste the tomatoes. I love putting these on sandwiches, burgers, really. And what we have here is some sliced bread. I'm going to take some jam out. Not just for your breakfast toast, but really anything you put bread on. I love using this. There is a restaurant in my neighborhood that puts tomato jam on their burgers, and I absolutely love it. All right, and there you have it. Tomato jam with those fresh summer tomatoes. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Fresh tomatoes are very popular with Virginia consumers. As of 2017, tomatoes were raised on 870 farms, covering 2,514 acres. Certain regions of the state are famous for good-tasting tomatoes, like Hanover County. But those tomatoes are only available for a few months each summer. More and more producers are shifting to year-round greenhouse tomato production. This allows growers to maintain better quality control and prevent most pest and disease problems in the fruit. In 2017, there were 184 of these greenhouse facilities in Virginia, with sales worth $8.5 million a year. More tomato greenhouse operations are being built every year.
Virginia farmers share the road with thousands of vehicles every day. Norm Hyde reports harvest season is a good time to remind people to be careful around slow-moving vehicles.
Glenn Keller and his family have been farming in Shenandoah County since 1988 on both family land and leased property. He raises cattle, horse hay, and row crops, and he has a custom harvesting operation. That means he's also a farmer for hire to bring in hay and crops for other farmers. So he needs to move equipment from farm to farm on public roads. And unfortunately, when it comes to near misses with other drivers, he's seen it all.
It's pretty dangerous when you get out on the road because we have a lot of hills in this valley, blind hills where you don't know what may be coming on the other side of those hills. And when we move something wide, like the piece of equipment behind me, we usually have an escort in front. But if the people don't pay attention to that, you have to be prepared to react pretty quick. And there's deep ditches along the roads here and rock outcroppings that you can tear your equipment up on, or the people in their vehicles can hit those as well.
Thousands of other Virginia farmers face the same challenges, especially during harvest season when they're moving some of their largest equipment from field to field. Usually a public road is their only option to do so. And while they have every right to use the road, sometimes other drivers get impatient and take dangerous risks.
When we feed cattle in the wintertime, I pull a 24-foot feed cart. 6 miles up the road to feed my cattle. And every morning I try to time it so there's not as much traffic, but invariably somebody will get behind you, and in that 6 mile run, there's one place that I can pull over safely to let vehicles by. So we'll get to a blind hill and someone will follow you for a mile or so, and they finally get enough of it and want to go around, and they're usually upset and pick the wrong place. They'll go across the blind hill, and that endangers myself, them, and whoever may be coming toward them.
Like other heavy equipment, farm tractors, trailers, and combines fall into the category of slow-moving vehicles. A large orange reflective triangle sign should be posted on each of these vehicles when it's on the road. The maximum speed most of this equipment can travel is less than half the speed limit on many rural roads.
When you're driving down these country roads, you should be prepared to come upon either behind or pass a wide load vehicle like this. And this tractor itself will run 26 miles an hour, which is one of the faster machines I have. But when you get to a hill with a heavy machine like that, it's going to slow down to 15 miles an hour. So if people speeding, they can come up behind you pretty quick. And they also should be mindful when they come around a turn that there may be that machine coming that they have no idea is even there, because it's a blind hill. And until you pop over that hill and see it, you don't know that it's there.
In 2019, a Bedford County farmer died after a tractor-trailer driver tried to pass his tractor on the left while the farmer was turning into a field. A few years earlier, in Amelia County, a farmer's tractor was crushed and he nearly died after a collision with an automobile. In 2020, the National Safety Council estimated there were 15,000 collisions between slow-moving vehicles and automobiles every year in the U.S. The message from Virginia farmers to their fellow drivers is please slow down.
With these narrow 10, 11-foot lanes in this area, there's only so much room. You may pull over in someone's yard and it's muddy, and then they're going to be mad at you. If someone has to follow you up the road for an extended amount of time, they're late for work, they're going to be mad at you. So there's no happy medium, and we just like to convey the point that I'm not out there to slow someone down. I've got a wife and kid to get home to. I want to get home safe, as well as the folks want to get to work and to their dinner safely.
Keller says he and his wife and son are often working from sunup to past sundown during haymaking season, trying to beat bad weather. Or they're cutting corn or combining soybeans, moving large machines from field to field at harvest time. He's aware that not many drivers are used to driving around farm equipment.
Since COVID, it just seems like we have more people out here that aren't used to what we do and aren't looking for wide equipment. Within the last 5 years in our valley here, which is beautiful, we've had a lot of agro-tourism, agro-business, such as wineries and farm breweries, and we love them, we go to them ourselves, but when you have that, you have a lot of people from the city that want to come out here and see our beautiful places, have a drink and look at our mountains, and they don't realize they're focused on getting to this destination, not driving there.
In addition to the slow-moving vehicle symbol, many tractors have blinking amber warning lights and even travel with escort vehicles to help warn other drivers. Keller says he used to try to limit his driving to midday when traffic was slower, but as the population in his area has grown, that's become less of an option. He says there's really only one way to avoid a dangerous collision with large farm equipment on a rural road: slow down and watch out for them.
As a farmer here in the valley, our sole job is to feed the community, feed the world. That's what we do, and we want to get home to our families as well as you want to get home to yours. So just, if I could ask one thing, it's just be patient when you see a farmer on the road. They're not out there trying to slow you down. They want to do the right thing and move out of the way when it's safe.
For more details about slow-moving vehicles and how to drive safely around them, follow this link on the screen to a Drive Smart Virginia video. In Shenandoah County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Farming is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They don't get no breaks. They don't get the lay out because it's raining or it's snowing or it's hot. Farmers are everything. They feed us, they clothe us, they do everything that they can do to help this country. If we didn't have farming, there'd be a lot of us that wouldn't have anything to eat. So thank you, farmers.
I like to take appreciation towards them for their hard work and the labor they put towards their work.
You all work so hard and we're so appreciative of it. Thank you, farmers.
I know it's a 7-day-a-week job and just appreciate that it's such a hard job and that you guys do such great work. And we really appreciate all your hard work.
I think it's important to be appreciative of the farmers because without them we won't have a lot of stuff that we eat or drink. They work hard all year round and have lots of legislation and laws they have to follow, and they do a great job for us, to provide for us.
I'd like to thank all the farmers for what you do. I'm sure they're early starts. We're still all in bed snoozing away while you're out working hard in the fields. Appreciate it very much.
We release balloons for all sorts of celebrations. Weddings, birthdays, graduations. Whatever the reason, we let them go and watch in awe as they get smaller and smaller before finally disappearing out of sight. Well, what about the balloons? Where do they go after they've sailed off into the distance? Whether they are latex or foil, 100% of helium-filled balloons that are released return to Earth or the ocean. All of it becomes litter that pollutes our environment. Foil balloons that are caught in power lines can even cause electrical outages. There is no such thing as an environmentally friendly released balloon. All of them can harm or kill animals. Wind and ocean currents can carry helium-filled balloons great distances from where they were released. Sea turtles will eat balloons that have burst in the atmosphere and land in the water looking like their favorite food. Jellyfish. Scientists around the world are finding animals who have died from ingesting the balloons or getting tangled in their lines and ribbons. Some balloons even have plastic attachments, such as LED lights, batteries, and recorded messages, all of which just add to the waste. The most important part of a celebration or ceremony is being together. Together, we can have uplifting and long-lasting memorials for loved ones. Together, we can have joyful celebrations and create picture-perfect memories. Together, we can thank and honor those who make a difference. There are so many ways to celebrate, remember, and honor. Blow bubbles, play music, plant a tree, flowers, or a vegetable garden. If you do celebrate with balloons, pop them and drop them into the trash. Never let them go. Visit preventballoonlitter.org for more uplifting, joyful, and expressive litter-free ideas. This message is brought to you by these partners and others passionate about litter-free events.
There are 30,000 roadway accidents each year involving cars and farm machinery. Farmers will be moving equipment for planting and harvest season. The slow-moving vehicle triangle in red and fluorescent orange colors and flashing lights allow for quick identification. When you see an SMV sign on farm equipment, slow down, prepare for sudden stops and slow turns.
Patience will save lives. Just remember, we all need to share the road, we all need to be responsible, and we need to be guided by the law.
Motor vehicle safety starts with you.